Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Mr. Merrigan's Moments in Geography. Today, we are going to introduce the new Eastern Europe. In particular, we're going to start with Poland and the Baltic Republics today. So let's look at what we're going to be able to do today. I can identify the three nations that make up the Baltic Republics, and I can explain the economic, historical, and cultural traits of Poland. For my students, if you really want to see something interesting and very unique to Poland, on page 368, there's a really excellent photo of what's called the Wieliczka salt mine. It's actually somewhere I've been before. It's gorgeous. It's this very elaborate salt mine that ranges from artwork to even a whole small church that's made out of salt. It's really gorgeous, and you go down and into the earth to see it. It's very, very cool. If you ever get the chance, it's very much worth the trip. For my U.S. listeners, Poland is roughly the size of New Mexico, so it gives us a little bit of an idea as far as comparisons to something maybe we're a little bit more familiar with. It lies on the northern European plain, and some of those major rivers, when we look at it, the Vistula, the Varta, and the Oder, those are some of our major river systems. Also very mountainous in the south. We're talking about the Carpathians as far as its geography. Also, certainly something to think about, especially for my history buffs. How did the geography influence World War II as far as Poland goes? We'll talk a little bit more about the role that Poland played as far as starting World War II. All right, let's take a look at a map real quick. So one of the things that we notice, again, is the central lowlands. This is our most fertile area in Poland. So certainly this is where the major industrial part of agriculture comes in. You'll notice that the mountains are in the southern region and that there is certainly much less mountainous regions when it comes to the other parts, especially the east and the west. Some of our major cities, Gdansk, Warsaw, and certainly Krakow. And one thing to notice, this is something sometimes that we overlook, that Kaliningrad is a part of Russia, which still continues to be controlled by the Russian government, just here to the northeast. All right, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about Poland's economy. Okay, post-World War II certainly had its challenges for Poland. The Soviets created what we called a Soviet satellite nation, and so it created a communist country politically and certainly economically as well. And that's a situation where the government controls the economy and certainly controlled the society. They were certainly convinced of a friendship agreement in which reparations were going to be delayed, as well as the benefits of the Marshall Plan were not available for Poland. The Marshall Plan, for, again, my history buffs, was an economic policy that lent itself to trying to stopping the spread of communism after World War II. And the United States looked at Poland and thought that this was an area that they couldn't win back, but not for lack of trying. Today, it's a free market economy, and it's actually one of the fastest growing. You can see here a very famous figure in Polish history, Pope John Paul II, certainly somebody of great importance to the Polish people, especially being a very Catholic nation. But you can see an example of the Polish money down below. Also, looking at their economy, there's kind of three big parts. There's agriculture, which makes up roughly 13% of the economy. Industry makes up about 30%, but the big industry is certainly the service industry. And that is a common theme that we saw with Western Europe, but we also see here in Poland. This has been certainly a decrease of about 12% since our textbook was written. Because remember, we are dealing with a textbook from about 2005 right now. Potatoes, wheat, rye, sugar beets, fruit, those are some of the crops that you're going to find in Poland. Again, very suitable for the type of climate that Poland has, along with the availability of their fertile landscape. Mining and manufacturing are certainly a part of this, especially in the south and the central. Makes sense given the mountainous terrain in the south. Certainly coal mining is big there. And don't forget that shipbuilding, along with trade, as well as just being an important economic center, can be found in Gdansk. Okay, gives you an idea of the shipyard there, connecting Poland with its ports. All right, let's get into a little bit of history. So September 1st, 1939, Germany does invade Poland. This was the event that kicked off the official beginning, I should say, of World War II. And from here, France and Great Britain are going to declare war on Germany. As the war goes on, there's the loss of about 12,000 Europeans in the prison camps. Remember, though, that number is not addressing the victims of the Holocaust. So in 1947, shortly after the war, we can see that this is where the Soviet Union creates that satellite nation. And so certainly you have Soviet rule. As the 1980s come together, solidarity movement is led. You can see from the Time magazine here, this is Lech Walesa. He is the first democratically elected president of Poland. So again, a lot of changes have occurred in Poland in its history since World War II. All right, shifting gears to culture. We're talking about a population roughly around 38.6 million, and most Poles speak Polish. You'll hear English and other languages as well, but most Poles do speak Polish. And Polish falls under the language tree that is called the Slavic languages, which would also include languages like Ukrainian, as well as Russian, and even Czech and Slovak. And you can see on the right here some of the other languages that kind of fall under that. And again, Slavic not only refers to the kind of language, but it's also a culture unto itself. Catholicism, again, is the dominant faith here. It's about 87.2%. And you can see that over a third of the population does live in rural areas, which is pretty high for Europe. But it's important to know. Check out these sports. Certainly ski jumping, volleyball, the speedway. I encourage you to follow those links and kind of check those out for those who are my students. Otherwise, certainly check them out. Those are some of the major and popular sports in Poland. All right, our last section, the Baltic Republics. These are certainly named due to their proximity to the Baltic Sea, which certainly makes sense, and especially if we're talking about Estonia, the Gulf of Finland. They consist of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Again, all which used to be a part of the Soviet Union. They became independent on September 6th, 1991, following the fall of the Soviet Union. Farming, fishing, shipbuilding, all important here. Riga, Vilnius, Tallinn are your largest cities, and you can see the population numbers behind each of them. They certainly have replaced that communism with more of a democratic model, one in which they have a president as well as a prime minister. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap us up for this edition. Make sure you check out this check-in quiz just to kind of make sure you're picking up on some of the big ideas, and feel free to go back into the notes and check your answers. Appreciate you listening to my students. I hope this was helpful for those who are learning just for fun. I really appreciate you listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.